1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Counting. Aggressive orchestral sounds. Check. Everything's check. Man, yeah, just doing a quick one here. I'm pretty out of it. It's late. It's just generally exhausting. Time to be alive, I would say. Um, Now, while you're checking out this subway, I just want to see what's actually going on over here with the streams. With the streams being streamed, I'm trying the restream, seeing if the restream will stream the streams to multiple streaming restreampians, and that does seem to be actually functioning. I know I was having some glitches earlier. As far as that stuff was concerned, it just seems like we have some sort of massive delay on those feeds, but that's just fine by me. This is the scene here in my current place of existence. It's the Christmas time, and people are just sort of streaming. They're streaming Netflix. They're streaming all just up and down the roads, looking for presents or something, right? Yeah, I mean this is more of the outside view of that whole experience. Just people going to buy stuff that they don't really need, spending all day doing that, getting a nice warm fuzzy feeling like there was a big fat accomplishment when all you really did was sort of wander around and look at some stores, interact with consumer culture. It's hard to know. It's hard to say what is a waste of time these days. It's staring at some footage of escalator walking. Is that a waste of time? Because you get that sense. At least I do a lot these days. Like, time's short. Society's collapsing. You better just, get organized. Get your mind right. Make sure you're actually doing things you want to be doing. Because maybe one day you turn around and you were just sort of just hanging around, not really doing what you wanted to do. But that's probably a longer question for another time. Very importantly, I wanted to bring you some hexagons, just because, what would the show be without the deep level hexagon research, the just piercing amount of raw hexagon analysis, right? So, just an interesting shot, I thought. Corbyn and just whatever even is happening in England now, it just seems to be devolving further and further, and they don't seem to have any. Maybe I'm just not hip to the rules. Like they seem to have elections just all the time, every day. Trying to get this guy out or something. But not surprising at all to have the background be hexing us, getting that hex going on the voters so they know exactly where they fit in the hive mind. Or just, that any of their magical spells were dispelled before they could really gain too much traction, too much ground. One of those. Now, while we're getting into the news, I think it's worth to jump over here for just 1 microsecond. Jump over to the internet. Satanists. Now, I tend to save articles just willy nilly, and not sure how in depth or it's ever going to actually go. It's just nice to have some stuff to bounce off of. I mean, what is the deal with Satanists? Because they just they seem like kind-hearted, generally good people. At least on the PR campaign that's been going around. The general brain level. This is definitely RT, so it shows. So watch your Russia propaganda meters. But the story was going around that this lady who had a Hail Satan shirt was asked to change her shirt, and that was impinging on her religious freedom because she considers herself a Satanist and is totally down with Satan and all that kind of stuff, and that actually the less woke, more offensiveness is calling her out for hailing Satan. That she should be more than happy to express and think about her religious sentiments in any which way she pleases, in public and also not in public. And that, it's your fault for thinking that's weird. Don't get offended by the Satanist, because they're people too, and generally just good, kind people. But American Airlines had it kicked off, right? And just this whole thing could be sort of even front to back a publicity stunt by probably not American Airlines, but I guess by sort of woke culture in general, but also by the Satanists, because they have been gaining ground very rapidly. Lots of documentaries flying around about how it's a pretty chill thing to do, be a Satanist. So, and just I guess it ties more into that stream of articles, just news events where people get beat up or hurt or somehow manhandled on a plane, and how we should be mad about that, because most of us have been on a plane and been pissed about being on the plane, and really don't like the thought of getting messed with on the plane during an experience that's already just kind of horrible. That somebody would just get all up in your business when you're trying to just sliver off a little tiny corner of personal space in this large tube full of other humans. You don't want people messing with you. That's what a lot of people, I guess, can relate to. So, maybe it's the grand agenda, maybe it's just the data driving this. In the end, I guess it almost doesn't matter. Just like with all this climate stuff, I sort of feel it in my heart that there really are these dead zones all over the ocean, that you get to certain parts of it, and it's just unbreathable. You don't see it coming, but you swim over there, and then you're just dead. Like 1 minute you're chill, hanging out, just being a fish, I'm a fish. Everything's chill in the ocean. Yeah, did you hear that powerful chord? That chord was when you died. You just died because you didn't even see it coming. You were just living your fish life, and then the dead zone came in. You were just like wrecked, immediate wrecked, no option. And all of these things tend to circle around in your brain, right? You imagine what it's like to be that fish, to die instantly, and that sends sort of a sense of dread, I think, through your whole body. The next logical connection to make would be that this might happen on Earth, on the non-underwater part of the Earth at least, and that oxygen would effectively be absent in certain areas. That this is something that maybe we have to look forward to, and how terrifying that would be if you wouldn't be able to just walk around wherever you want. You know, some places are colder, some places are hotter or more annoying. But most places you can just still just hang out, even if they're hot or annoying. You don't die, right? But that may become a thing in the future. I've seen this definitely echoed in entertainment that, yeah, you're going to not be able to breathe. Your breathing will be not possible. And yeah, it's going to make you scared. It's going to make you worried for the future. Dog. I mean, so those are really the main things I wanted to hit today. Today's not going to be the most extended of shows. I'm just going to come over to here. What's up, guys? What's up, The Real Truth? What's up, Elish? What's up, also The Real Truth with a different logo? See now, this is what confuses me too. Like, both of you guys are obviously awesome, but both of you guys are called The Real Truth. One's called The Real Truth, and the other guy is called The Real Truth. Hey, I appreciate that, Elish. I miss you too. I mean, I think we all miss each other sometimes. It's good to see you. So I'm sure both of these people are real people, but it's interesting that you can actually on YouTube have the same username. I just thought that was interesting, and I guess I'm giving away my cards here. Looks like it's just you and me, Elish, because there appears to only be one person watching, which could possibly be you. Those numbers could also possibly be totally fake. Or it could just be you and me. I mean, either way, who cares? We're having a good time. Is the way I like to see it. No, let's just get over back into the images just for a second. I didn't really have the wherewithal to chop this entertainment, but I definitely it's always something to talk about in the entertainment world. But let's just take a real quick look at just some high quality 5G photos. Just your continuous reminder that no matter where you are in the civilized world, 5G towers are ready. They're ready at key strategic positions, not necessarily ready to be covering the actual network usage that you would be needing for cell phones, for example, but that for one reason or another, regardless of the economic development of your country, city, or town, you're going to have those 5G towers there. They are going to be ready. They're going to be ready to go and just looking nice and already weathered. Almost seems like once they finish the 5G rollout, that the technology will be dated at that point. Because it almost seems like they're going to have to start replacing the ones they put up in the first place. And this is still, by all accounts, years before these networks get rolled out in these locations. There's no talk of Hamburg being wired for 5G at any point in the near direct future. It's going to be years, but then again, we're just getting ahead of it. Just get ahead of the curve. Got to get those towers up. Now, it's a fascinating city for many reasons, and I just wanted to call attention to this building. Who even knows what it's called? I mean, I guess I could look it up. It's I think it's the Rathaus or something like that. But just mind-boggling architecture by any accounts. Ancient, powerful, symmetrical, not really seeming like something that would be easy to just put up, and also something that's been extremely well maintained. and just again with all these buildings, with this architecture, just the kind of thing it's important to notice how much effort would have to go into creating just even a tiny corner of one of these buildings in this style. Everything from the material costs to the absolute sort of precision and artistry that goes into all of the elements, from the tiniest little architectural phrase. What do you call these things? Archways, all of this stuff. It's obviously all hand carved, hand prepared, but each one of these little statue dudes would take one expert months. I don't know how you could get, maybe if you were casting it, but a lot of the stone is like it would have had to have been carved on site. And again, another thing I just find fascinating about architecture in this region, that you will find this highly detailed, highly what's that word again? Sort of, it's got all little accents and little details, lots of detailed work, and then over here you have this sort of more rough-hewn, like they were just chiseling at it. But that's also sort of a style, and that both of these styles are sort of layered on top of each other and interact in different ways. I think that's interesting to have this rough hewn with the extremely well manufactured details. It's just, these pictures, I don't know. I wish I had a better camera, because I could stare at this detail work forever. Not even getting into the symbolism. It's an amazing piece of work, I would say. And all of this is sort of combining with the general Christmas market, Christmas feeling of, spending money, being a consumer, but also just getting back with the family and maybe drinking some mulled wine during the day on the outside. All, good stuff. Good stuff for the Christmas spirit. And it's not just the actual buildings that have a sort of the crazy architecture. It's reflected in this more temporary sort of Christmas market vibe, right? You get these kind of bizarre, fanciful architecture that would really honestly take too much time these days, be too cost prohibitive to make any sort of sense. So what does that tell you about whatever previous time this is representing, that making something as bizarre as like a sideways, I'm losing my architecture vocabulary right now. What do you call these things? Parapets, balustrades. I know it's not either of those things. Do you see what I'm saying, though? That's it just doesn't really make economic sense, which means then that the economic drivers at the time just had to be wildly different from anything we're comfortable with thinking about. And I'm going to scroll through here. I was hoping to get, so if we just want to get into symbolism just for a second, you see this is sort of the main symbol for the city-state. These two Jewish stars surrounded by the equidistant cross, the parallel cross, on top of these sort of three buildings. And there's a lot to get into and unpack there as well, but it's interesting, just that basic symbolism, the Judaism, the Christianity, and I think on other examples of the city seal, you will also see the Muslim half moon or whatever. So all religions being represented here in this symbol of the city, and the effects that may have on now, past, future, present, all of these things. It's worth just checking in on. you see how you would walk by this, not really take these symbols in, not really be processing any of this, but that's still somehow, on some level, it doesn't really matter who you are and what your experiences, all of those things, that those symbols are still going to pierce into your consciousness at some level. Maybe not consciousness, but at some level, these ideas will get inside of your experience. Again, without you actually experiencing it. I'm sure thousands of people must have walked by this thing today without really contemplating the nature of the symbolism there. And that does not mean that they completely ignored it or didn't see it or weren't affected by it. Is what I guess I seem to constantly be trying to say. So, and I don't think I got a good enough picture of this thing, but I just thought this was really interesting too. This giant sort of, it's more like an art piece, but also some sort of memorial to something. Yeah, 40,000 sons of the city lost their lives for you. Right? So some more of that guilt, shame. It's really heavy, especially in a war-torn country like Germany. They want you to feel that guilt. It's critical. It's critical to building everything for the future phases, that you have a healthy serving of guilt right in the center of your heart. That's really, really, really important. It's hard to even overstate how important that is, that you hold that guilt. And how very useful all of what happened in World War II is at generating that guilt and perpetuating it. And here's just a grand example of do not forget, never forget what happened and the part you played in it, and the part you continue to play in it just by being alive. Right? And how a lot of this guilt shame stuff from the war can get turned over into the climate crisis or other sort of agenda driven things that need to happen, that those ideas will swirl forward. But that the same tactics and effects of World War II that worked on literally millions of people, driving their guilt and their shame, how those same tactics are going to work just as well on our generation and future generations. And that once you realize as a controlling body that has such a huge effect on people, why would you put that trick back in the box? That's a trick you would use nonstop. I think I would. If you found the most effective tool for the job, would you just throw it away? No, you definitely keep using it. Put it in the city seal. Put it all over the architecture. Put it in the memorials. And this is just interesting too. On the flip side of the city lost tons of people so you could live, is this bizarre sort of almost Egyptian mother figure. Seems sort of pregnant, but has that sort of Egyptian vibe on it. This tall, what do they call that again? I'm losing all my words for things right now. Back in this Assyrian times, it's like a tablet, and they'd write important stuff on it. I think it's sort of channeling all of those vibes. But that this would be smack dab in the center of the city, this sort of ancient feeling monument, and how that would play off the city symbol, off the red house crazy architecture, and then other sort of more generic buildings, how all of these things sort of combine together to create your perception of reality. I mean, what else is it in the end? The stories you've heard and the things that you're looking at, that's about all we got. Unless you can think of something else. I mean, that's all I can think of. That's what we got. That's what we got. Oh man, did I move my bumper over? I may have moved my bumper over. Well, it's been real, but I think it's time for me to get some sleep or something. What what is the purpose of any of it? What is the purpose? I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. Just watching, lurking, whatever you guys are feeling like. I appreciate it when you write in the chat. Thanks for reaching out, Eilish. You're awesome. And anybody that's not a bot that actually interacts with my content, you are also awesome.
Thanks for being awesome. You're so cool when you just like do stuff that's good. You shouldn't feel like guilt. You shouldn't feel like guilt for what you went through. Trippy.
Very curious. Don't feel guilty, Eilish. I, every time I feel that guilt, I've tried to fight back against it. Like, just don't. That's just those lizard people trying to get you to feel bad. Like, just ignore that shit. You're a magical flower child that has like potential to move universes. Like, believe in that shit. Go move a universe.